Ladies and gentlemen, now hosting the RizzoCast, put your hands together for Steven Rissotto!
What is going on, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 100 of RizzoCast. I can't believe that we've gotten to 100 episodes. Thank you to all the listeners, the viewers, everybody that's subscribed or that has supported the podcast over the last almost 2 years. So appreciate it. I was going to do something all out big. It's not what you expect, but we do have a big time season preview, and we do have the return of a RizzoCast legend. Jasper Lindsey rejoins the show. Got to have him back on more. Jasper, what's going on? How you doing?
Dude, I'm happy to be here, and congrats on 100 episodes. I've watched the growth of this channel and what you've done, and I'm incredibly proud. Let's go. I'm glad to be back. And beyond excited to break down some baseball. We finally got baseball back.
Yeah, let's go. We finally had baseball back. I mean, what were you thinking during that CBA? Did you think that it would ever get solved? Because like there's a point where I was like not optimistic at all that we'd even have baseball this year.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm right there with you. I really didn't know, especially with all the players coming out and kind of saying this isn't about us. This is about changing the fundamentals of baseball. Just to have them fold the very next week and go right back to the same kind of bowing down to the owner's wishes, but. I really didn't expect that. I thought we were going to lose a significant chunk of the season. Only losing probably what looks like the first week at this point is huge for us, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. It's great that they're going to get to play 162 games. And I didn't talk about it at all on this. I didn't. First of all, I felt very unknowledgeable about the whole economic situation. There are bits and pieces that I understood, and I knew what the players wanted, I knew what the owners wanted, but it wasn't too much to where I could completely dive into it, and nobody really wanted to talk about it. So but anyways, we're gonna get baseball again, as you mentioned, kind of at a later date, but we do have some previews for you. We're going to preview the division races and awards a little bit later on, but let's start, Jasper, in a division here that's kind of really near and dear to both of our hearts, the National League West. And I think this is the best division in baseball. What do you think?
Easily. I mean, you could make the case that the AL East got significantly better this offseason, but I think in terms of just pure raw talent, no one's going to beat the NL West. I mean, you have a bunch of divisions this year that are going to be super close races, but just based from a talent perspective and just the potential to have probably 3 teams make the playoffs out of this division, I mean, it's just insanity.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the list here, and I think the NL West has the best talent, but the NL East is close, but they also have the Marlins and Nats kind of weighing down that division right now. Yeah. The Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies are good, but we haven't seen the extended success from the Mets and the Phillies. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the East is really good now with some of the offseason moves that all those teams have made. But yeah, back to the West. I guess starting from the bottom, I mean, I think Arizona, I don't really know what they have, to be honest with you. I think it's an easy pick to have them kind of finishing last in that division. They still have a lot of interesting players. Ketel Marte's still there.
I mean, how do they not move Ketel Marte at this point?
Right? How have they not moved him? I mean, it's amazing.
They have no plan, and it's just so sad to watch.
Yeah, and their pitching gets blown up quite a bit too. There's not much there. But what I really want to get into extendedly is the Colorado Rockies making a move and signing Kris Bryant. I know we exchanged texts, but most of it was, yes, let's go. So I want to get your extended thoughts on this move, because this could, I don't know what the Rockies are doing, frankly, but like, what was your reaction when you saw Kris Bryant get signed to the Rockies?
Like throughout my entire career as a Rockies fan, we've always been like linked to these big names, kind of like there's always some rumor out there that we're linked to someone. I remember a big one was when we were actually competing back in the 2010s, coming off Cargos, like Michael Young was the big name we were linked to. And it's like, oh, we've always had these guys that just looked like they could fit in so well. But we're Colorado. No one wants to come play there. So, I mean, when I saw the news, my first inclination was, holy hell, we did something right. But then I took a step back and I was more like, so what's the plan here? Like, we have Chris Bryant. That's awesome. But like, we still are a directionless franchise. It kind of just feels like Dick Munford's making a big splash here just to say I'm doing something right as an owner. You can't get me out of here. But I think it's a win for the new front office. I'll give him that. Getting Bryant out there and having him no longer at the helm is huge for us. But I think another thing about the Colorado Rockies is like that lineup it's pretty good if it gets the right things to happen. And I mean, that goes for every team in baseball, but like Ryan McMahon, Garrett Hampson, Raimel Tapia, these are all guys who can like bottom down, they can hit and they can find the gaps. I think it's going to be pitching that's the biggest problem, but I mean, obviously it's always exciting to get a top 10, a former MVP in baseball on your team, a World Series champion. He's bringing that to the locker room. I just hope we don't end up doing the same thing we did with Nolan Arenado and kind of giving out this huge contract and having everyone super excited at first just to fail to build around him for the remainder of his contract. And I just don't know how the Rockies can escape that with Chris Bryant. So for now, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, and I think the Rockies are a team right now, aside from their bullpen, which has been a mess. I think that there's definitely some breakout potential in that rotation. I think, Herman Marquez is still a really good arm, along with Kyle Freeland. I think Austin Gomber has to take that big step. And this lineup, I think, is getting a little bit better. I think that they could slug a little bit. I mean, I think they slugged a little bit last year.
We'll be playing those classic Coors Field games this season where it's like 14-8, 20-16. I definitely think we're going to see more of those this season. It's just going to be a matter of like the Rockies peak every year is a third place team that can maybe sneak into the wild card round. I just don't see how we take this in a direction where we can compete with some of these other heavyweights in the NL West.
Yeah. Speaking of the other heavyweights in the NL West, I was really disappointed with San Diego last year. I thought that would be a lot better. And I think a big reason of why they weren't better was their pitching fell apart. They just didn't have anything outside of, Yu Darvish and, Joe Musgrove was there too. But
Which is weird because it feels like they have just an infinite supply of pitchers. I mean, you got Mackenzie Gore, Ryan Weathers in the farm system. Like,
Snell. Yeah. So, I mean, I was disappointed by them.
I mean, Blake Snell, what can you say about Blake Snell? He needs to get off the MLB The Show and start focusing on the field.
Oh, there's the first one of the episode. The kill shot. No, he did not. I think he just didn't pitch deep in the games. I think it's going to be a boost having Clevenger back from Tommy John.
Absolutely. Dude, that's the crazy thing is you forget about that they had Mike Clevenger just waiting in the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if they're disappointed that they missed out on Suzuki.
I don't know, man. I mean, they got to be, right?
Well, I know they wanted to move Myers and Hosmer. They want to move both those guys.
Yeah, and there was rumors that they were in the Freddie Freeman sweepstakes too for a little bit. But I bet you failing to move Hosmer or Myers kind of put a damper on that one.
And I think the biggest news right now around Padres camp is what happened to their star shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr., who fell off a motorcycle.
He can't stay healthy, and he does this reckless stuff. Like, I personally like. I know Fernando Tatis is the face of baseball right now, and he's the future. But why are we giving him his Hall of Fame plaque before he's even put up anything on the field? Like, think about it. This guy keeps getting hurt. Like, he's tremendous when he is on the field, and he's so fun to watch. I mean, maybe the San Diego Padres announcers make the plays. The stuff he does look cooler than it is just by how much they freak out every time he touches. Melvin is going to be huge for them, though. I'm really high on that move. I think that is probably the biggest move they could have made this offseason, a true leader and someone who knows. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bomel's had some pretty ugly playoff exit, but he does know how to win. He knows how to get there. So I think that's going to be huge for them. Manny Machado needs to bounce. Manny Machado's just quietly good. He's just – this is what the thing about the NL West is you forget how many guys are actually superstars just because they're on these deep teams and they get overshadowed by other guys. But Padres, they have to win this year. I mean, right? They have to like at least make a playoff run.
No doubt about it. Yeah, I agree with you on Bomel. He's a big addition. The thing about like Tatis going down is I think it's going to put a lot more pressure on Machado. Like Machado's got to step up, and I don't know if they're going to go with that, one guy steps up, Machado leads the charge type of thing. But
what about CJ Abrams? They have him in the farm system too. I mean, now would be a good time to see what you have in him and maybe get some trade value for him because you're not going to ever play him over Tatis.
No doubt. So, yeah, where do you put San Diego? Are they, because obviously we know who's number one. I mean, we're not going to spoil anything there, but like, where do you put San Diego ahead of the Giants or, before or behind the Giants?
It's such a hard position to like even talk about just because the Giants, when we'll get to the Giants, they're just, I don't know what to make them. I'd love to see them get another bat before this free agency period's over, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I mean, they should be the number 2 team, right? But will they is the big question. I don't know. I mean, I think they have to take a step forward this year. Last year they have a bunch of new personalities, a bunch of new teammates, kind of getting acquainted with each other, and there's room for them to kind of fall off from a chemistry aspect. But I think now they've had a whole off season with this team, and Clevenger's coming back. You mentioned. I mean, there's no reason this team shouldn't win 90 games.
Yeah, no doubt. It definitely should be 90. I mean, it completely fell off towards the end. Now going to the Giants, I don't think anybody's expecting them to do anything close to what they did in 2021. Yeah. I mean, 107 wins. Like,
that was crazy.
That was crazy. But they should have gotten a right-handed bat somewhere at second base, the outfield.
Is it enough? I think is the real question.
I think it will be I still think they're going to be a really good offensive team that, leads the on-base categories and such. But I think a Trevor Story really would have helped at second base in their infield.
Yeah. They just never have that pure power hitter. That 5-tool guy who can kind of do it all. I mean, that's what's always bothered me about the Giants, I think, from that standpoint, is the fact that I guess Posey he had his MVP year, and that was great, but they've never had a guy who can just park one when you need it.
And Chris Bryant was looking like that guy. I think Bryant would have been great to bring back and stick him in the outfield.
I know. I mean, honestly, when we signed Chris Bryant, I was like, here's my real reaction was kind of like, dope, but like, why? Like he could have gone somewhere else, but I think he's at a point in his career where he kind of just wants to pad up some stats. Like he's won a World Series, he's won an MVP, he's won Rookie of the Year. I guess I get it, but I really would have loved to see the Giants be more aggressive from an offensive standpoint in free agency. But the Rondon move is incredible, I think, from all aspects.
The way they stacked up on pitching depth this offseason, I think, was really impressive. And no disrespect to the acquisition of Jock Peterson, but the pitching acquisitions were top notch. I think bringing back DeSclafani and Wood was huge, and then Rodon. Now you have kind of a co-ace from the left side with Logan Webb, and then Alex Cobb, who's 34 years old, but they see upside in him. And then just rolling out the 6, 7, 8 options with Matt Boyd, Carlos Martinez, Jacob Junis. I mean, that's pretty good depth. So, and they needed that at the upper minors. Old Tigers. Yes.
Old Tigers.
Yes. And Boyd won't be ready until the middle of the year, by the way. So
Matt Boyd is going to be awesome.
How about them Dodgers, Jasper?
Man, weren't you surprised Freddie Freeman went there too?
Yes. He should be a Brave. I don't know how that happened.
I feel like the Braves could have re-signed him, but the Matt Olson, they panicked because the Dodgers were so aggressive, and they went with the Matt Olson thing. I mean, what do you want me to say about the Dodgers, right? They have the best lineup I think I've seen in years on paper. Their pitching rotation is stacked. They have an influx of great rookies in their farm system. They just need to win. I mean, they need to win World Series.
Yeah, no, yeah, they should have at least a few by now, right? I think this
Yeah, this
lineup.
is ridiculous. This is ESPN will make a 30 for 30 on this. They're becoming the new 90s Braves. Like they're just this team that's always there, always on the cusp, and they only have one to show for it. And they have a Mickey Mouse World Series at that, you know? Like
That's good. The Braves, that's a good comp. I have not thought about that. That's pretty good.
they're so good, but they need to win a World Series this year. Like
Yeah, and I like the Olsen deal a lot for the Braves. But I do think like, I think I was shocked when Freeman came to LA. I just thought that he would always go back to Atlanta. But I mean, if you go position by position, Will Smith, top 3 catcher in the sport. Freddie Freeman, arguably the best first baseman in the sport. Max Muncy, who's going to probably DH or, some capacity. Definitely one of the best. Yeah, definitely one of the best left-handed hitters in the sport. Chris Taylor, best utility guy in the sport. Trey Turner, best shortstop in the sport. Justin Turner, probably, a top 10 third baseman at this point, maybe towards the bottom of that list.
Hey, someone has to get on base so they can hit home run.
Yeah. And then, you go in the outfield and you have Mookie Betts, the best right fielder in the game. Cody Bellinger, a guy who plays really good defense and could also run into one every once in a while. And probably, I don't think we've seen the best of, like, everybody wrote him off. He's coming back. Like, he's not a non-factor in that line. I'm sorry.
Who, Cody Bellinger?
Yeah, Bellinger. Because there's a lot of people that write him off.
I don't get that Cody Bellinger's done talk. Like, he's 2 years removed from an MVP. Like, let the guy get healthy.
Mm-hmm. And their pitching is, took a step back.
Yeah.
I think, Bueller and Urias, really good top. Kershaw, I think, is a big question mark. And then Andrew Heaney and Tyler Anderson is kind of and we don't know what's happening with Bauer. So
losing Trevor Bauer has been huge, but granted, it's for good reason. I mean, yeah, I'm surprised they weren't more aggressive from a pitching standpoint, if we're being honest, in free agency. Although there's still time for them to do so, but I think they could have been the team that signed like Marcus Stroman, or even they could have been the team that gave Noah Syndergaard a 1-year deal. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's where you're going to beat them. Pitching, bullpen. Jansen, they didn't bring back, so.
Yeah, Jansen's a Brave now, right?
Yeah, 1 year, 16. That's going to be weird.
Yeah, 16 million.
I mean, we become so accustomed to seeing him in the 9th inning for the Dodgers. Like, it's.
Yeah.
I guess
he's been a real villain in the sport the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be strange not to see that. But yeah, Dodgers, obviously, no one's beating them as of now in the NL West. Let's go into the Central. The Pirates, kind of a non-factor there. Can we agree on that?
We can agree the Pirates. I think I'd even throw the Reds in there.
Ooh. Yeah. The Reds are an interesting team.
They just sold their entire team off for.
Yes, but they're interesting because they still have pieces left.
They do. I like Jonathan India is going to take that next step and be a star this year. You already know that. I'm surprised Luis Castillo is still in a Cincinnati Reds jersey.
Yeah. Votto's still there. Nick Senzel, I think, is still there.
I'm surprised they blew this up as quickly as they did.
Yeah, there were a few spots. They were that third wild card.
They lost Castellanos and they lost their identity.
Yeah. I didn't think that they should have done that. I think they could have added a few bats and consider themselves, at least trying to contend with St. Louis. So
yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Pirates are going to be fun this year because we finally get to see their young core. I think we're going to see Brian Hayes play like a dog. We're going to see O'Neill Cruz get up there, Brian Reynolds. So Pirates are just going to be a rookie talent showcase team, kind of what the Toronto Blue Jays were a couple of years ago when they finally had Bo Bichette come up. They had Biggio, they had Guerrero. But I mean, there's nothing you can really do about the Pirates. It's nice to see they're finally taking steps in the right direction. I mean, they haven't been good since Kutch won his MVP.
Yeah. $20 million payroll. What a joke. Spend money, please, will you? Oh gosh. And then of course the Cubs. I mean, that's another team that's kind of in between. I thought they were rebuilding, and boom, they get Marcus Stroman and they get Suzuki. So I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing, but I think Brennan Davis is coming up this year for them. I'm blanking on the name of their young starting pitcher who just throws gas, but he's going to probably be up. It's going to be an interesting year. I mean, also they just have like these weirdly good guys like Patrick Wisdom, Schwindel could be like. I really the Cubs are just so fascinating to me.
Yeah. Nico
Horner, Contreras, Ian Happ. I think is Jason Hayward still on that team?
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, crazy.
Contreras is still there. How did Contreras not get dealt with the Bryants and the Rizzos and like how did that not happen?
I couldn't tell you what's going on, but Nick Madrigal, he's going to be fun to watch.
Yes. Big fan of him.
Oh yeah, that kid's gonna have 3,000 hits one day. But yeah, I think the big thing with the Cubs though for me is their rotation. I think it's pretty insane how they've been like piecing it together, but it's really improved if you look at it. Like Wade Miley is by no means a scrub. He has been pitching great over the past 2 years. He's a great number 3 guy. Stroman's obviously going to be the top there. Kyle Hendricks. And then, I mean, you got a little room there with the last 2, but I think the Cubs could be a 82 win team, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that's a perfect number, actually. Because I like the top 2 teams in this division. I don't see them as, like, powerhouses like the NL West or maybe even the East. But like the Cardinals are pretty good. I mean, they had the best defensive team in baseball last year. They had Gold Gloves all over the place.
That's a team that should have signed Trevor Rogers too.
Yeah, I like St. Louis as my number 2. I don't know where you put. I don't know how you personally would balance the Brewers and the Cardinals. But I like St. Louis's infield. I like Goldschmidt. I like Tommy Edman, Arenado, DeYoung. I mean, that's a pretty solid group right there. And the outfield just broke out. Like Tyler O'Neill came out of nowhere and hit. Bader, Dylan Carlson. They have a nice core of position players. They really do.
If Bader could hit the long, but if Bader gets his power numbers up and he starts to hit the ball more, we're talking about one of the best center fielders in baseball.
Yeah, and their pitching is you know.
It's always been though. I mean, Adam Wainwright has just found the fountain of youth though, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I just don't like the question marks around it. Like Steven Matz, they signed him to a big deal, but when has he ever been healthy and consistent at the same time? You know?
Yeah, on the flip side of things, the Brewers, though, I mean, their questions all come on offense. Like, can Christian Yelich return to that MVP form? Is like they lost Eduardo Escobar, they lost Avisel Garcia. Is that offense going to be enough to compete for the top of the Central Division? Like, I think the Brewers are going to lose a lot of close games this year. They're going to win. They're going to lose the like 3-1, 2-1, 2-0 games just because they aren't going to put up enough runs. I mean, I love Willy Adames, but if Christian Yelich doesn't play like an MVP, they're not making the playoffs, especially with the stacked NL West.
No, I agree with the close games. The close games point, because when we think of Milwaukee, we think of pitching. And Woodruff, Burns, Peralta, that's the best 1, 2, 3 in baseball, I think. I mean, you could even throw the Mets, maybe the Mets have a better one with Bassett there now too, but the Brewers have really good pitching. But as you mentioned, I think their offense is going to have to, there's something missing. Like there's something missing in a group with Rowdy Tellez, Colton Wong, Adames, and like whoever they have playing third base. I don't even know. So there's something missing in that infield.
Hit 30 home runs and 100 RBI and have 100 RBIs. I'd be fine with it, but he's not. He's like, and granted, he's still young. He could take that step, but if Christian Yelich isn't putting up 40 bombs and 100 RBIs and batting 320, like this team really just doesn't look like it's going to be a contender.
So a bounce back for Yelich is crucial, I think.
Oh, it's critical. All the Brewers fans out here in Wisconsin have been on it, and they're already all cynical and saying he's done. But I still have a little faith in Christian Yelich.
And let's throw in a good year for our guy Andrew McCutchen, who's the newest member of the Brewers. That'd be great to see.
Yeah, no, I love Andrew McCutchen. When Andrew McCutchen's playing well, baseball's fun. That's a guy who just has fun playing baseball, and when He's on ESPN primetime. Like, it's fun to watch. Like baseball needs more of those guys.
And he's good on social media too. And I think baseball needs more of those guys too. So,
the lockout their cause there. A lot of funniness on social media.
Yeah, he was doing different pranks with his kids and experiments.
A lot of funny guys in the MLB showed their true colors on social media. There we go.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So but I gotta ask, who do you have in that division, Milwaukee or St. Louis?
I think I got St. Louis just because they can hit more. St. Louis has always been able to make up for mid-level pitching just because they'll knock the Sox off the ball. But yeah, I mean, unless Yelich plays like an MVP or they make some big splash here in the final days before the season starts, I just don't see the Brewers pulling out that division.
I'll say the Brewers. I'll play devil's advocate. I'll say the Brewers.
Yeah.
I say the Brewers.
Honestly, I can see both happening. It just depends what the theme of this year is. If it's hitting, the Brewers are out. If it's pitching, the Brewers are in,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Let's wrap around now to the American League West. And let's start with the team.
The NL East?
Oh, we did skip it. What am I doing? Yeah. Let's go back to the NL East. We're not going to go West Coast just yet. I knew I was forgetting something. Again, starting from the bottom, Washington, they had pieces to sell off. They did. Turner went, Scherzer went at the deadline.
Hey, but they got great money. They're going to be fun.
Yeah. Are they though? Like besides Juan Soto and, watching the ageless wonder, you talked about how Wainwright was a fountain of youth. Nelson Cruz is also a fountain of youth, but I don't see anything outside of Juan Soto on this team. And, you're going to win games with Corbin and a healthy Strasburg. But other than that, I don't see a lot of interesting things about this team.
Yeah. Well, how crazy does that Strasburg contract look now 2 years later?
It looked crazy at the time. I think they just didn't want to let him walk after the championship.
No, it's insane.
Gosh.
They fell into the same trap the Giants did. They signed loyalty contracts. You can't do that in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't even healthy before the he always had injury history before the contract, and it's like, let's reward a guy who had a really good few weeks here in October, who won a World Series MVP, I think, right? I don't know.
I believe so.
So, yeah, that's going to be a tough team to watch this year.
I think we see the Dodgers take his deal off the Nationals' hands come the trade deadline.
Woo! That would be interesting. Washington would have to eat some money there, I think. But I could see something like that happening. Yeah, that might be a low risk, high reward type move.
Yeah, it's also put up or shut up time for Victor Robles in that outfield.
Yeah, he's been there forever.
He has to hit.
He's been the same player forever. Like, is he going to break out? Is he going to break out? And then, I guess Carter Kieboom is also there, right? That's what I'm looking at right now.
Ruiz, the new catcher they got for the Dodgers. Like, they're going to be a young team that's pretty fun.
Yeah, Josiah Gray also from the Dodgers in the Scherzer trade. Yeah, so, we'll see.
I think they may be a team who's back competing sooner than we think.
Maybe. They might have a quick turnaround. And then, of course, the Marlins, I love their pitching. I say this every year, and there's going to be a point where I say, like, I can't just love their pitching. I got to love some other things too. But
I love Jazz Chisholm.
I love Jazz Chisholm too. This is actually an exciting team because they always seem like they make, like, Kim Ng and Derek Jeter, who's no longer there, but Kim Ng is. They always seem like they make the right, like, move to plug in a guy. Like Avisail Garcia, let's sign him. They just brought in Jorge Soler. Let's plug him in.
Jorge Soler is my sneaky underdog MVP pick.
Oh, that's a good one.
He's going to hit 50 home runs this year in Miami.
And nobody since Stanton has put up those numbers in Miami.
He's going to hit 50 home runs in Miami this year. I love Jorge Soler. I think he was so undervalued when he got traded last season. Jorge Soler is a monster. The dude just swings.
Yeah, first pitch of the World Series. I've seen that replay so many times. By the way, it's not even funny.
It's awesome.
Like, MLB loves that, using that piece of video. But yeah, no, the Marlins just always have players that are, like, good enough. Like Jacob Stallings won a Gold Glove, I think. And they traded from, not a household name. Jesus Aguilar puts up numbers. Jazz Chisholm Jr., very exciting. Miguel Rojas goes out and plays. Brian Anderson can, just really solid group of
They have
players with
such like great young talent too.
Mhm.
I mean, especially in the outfield, I think they have two. Yeah, they have the Cruz brothers, and then they have Jesus Sanchez. No, who's their super? Oh, I can't believe I'm blanking on their outfield prospects right now. I used to love these guys. Man, all right, but Sixto Sanchez too. I'm excited for a season of Sixto Sanchez.
Yes, can't wait for him to be back. And Trevor Rogers, who was in the Rookie of the Year voting.
Let's go. Yeah, no, it's like, and their rotation is just gross. I mean, come on.
And you might remember, I don't think I did the prediction with you last year. Maybe no, we did, right? I think, yeah, we did. And do you remember who I predicted to win the AL Cy Young? It was Jesus Luzardo. And he's in that group.
That's crazy. Oh, I can't, like, they're going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you had to go with that pick, though. The Jesus Luzardo was a great dark horse Cy Young last year.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad things didn't work out in Oakland, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and then, of course, those big boppers at the top. A lot of unproven teams here with the Phillies, Mets, and Braves. Braves are proven. But let's start with the Phillies. They have a ton of good position players, but they're all DHs. You know what I'm saying?
How have they not made the playoffs?
Well, I think pitching. It's crazy how much relies on pitching. Like, they have Wheeler now. Aaron Nola, for some reason, kind of regressed. Gibson, other than that, they don't have a whole lot. I think their bullpen has always been horrible. They've been trying to add. I think they have a few good pieces there now with Familia, Brad Hand, Corey Knebel. So at least they're working on that. The bullpen was horrible a few years ago. But the thing about the Phillies that strikes me is that they have a ton of DHs. Like Rhys Hoskins at first base, Alec Boehm at third base, Castellanos in the outfield, who's not pretty out there. Schwarber they just signed. So, center field, they still have an open outfield spot that needs to be solved. Harper's great, So I think, like, the amount of position players they have, one more would do just fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. They're like, who are they like? They're like the Cardinals. They're going to hit the crap out of baseball, but they're not going to, like, win games pitching. So, I mean, if the Phillies lineup is what it's projected to be, they're going to be fine. They'll win 10-5 ball games. They'll go 5 runs. They'll hit 10. They'll be fine. But if everything goes south and Harper, the MVP of last year, regresses, I don't know. I mean, Alec Boehm also has to play better too. Scott Kingery needs to play better. Bryson Scott, we may see this come up this year. I think the Phillies are an interesting team for sure, but I just don't see them. I see them making the playoffs, but I don't see them going far.
Yeah, and moving on now to a team that I think is the trendiest team in the National League. It's the New York Mets, because they have some talent. Steve Cohen, like, I love owners like this. I think you might agree on this. They just go nuts with money, and, like, they're not owners that, receive money and then pocket it. They put it right back into the team.
Yeah.
And, like, Pete Alonso, I think they have a great surplus of players like Robinson Cano, who I think could still make an impact even after the suspension. He's not even guaranteed a spot in the regular lineup. That's how good this team is. They pick up Eduardo Escobar. I think anybody would be stupid to say that Lindor, is not a bounce back candidate. They stacked up their outfield with Mark Canha and Starling Marte and Brendan Nimmo still there. This is a really good, and the pitching, just like DeGrom, Scherzer, is that the best 1-2 punch ever? Like, Bassett's a good 3.
It's crazy.
Oh man, Mets are good.
I want to say the Mets are going to be good, but, like, my gut just always tells me they're going to let everyone down.
The Mets.
It's the Mets way, man. I can't give the Mets credit until they show me it,
Yeah, I could see that too. I want to check their bullpen real quick. Edwin Diaz. I mean, there's a few good bullpen pieces. But
is Edwin Diaz that good? he's kind of hit or miss these last couple of years.
Yeah, he's blown some big games, but also I think it's the popularity and the media attention that of New York. Like if you blow games in New York, you're going to be considered horrible even when you're not, because they had Mariano Rivera there for so long, in New York.
Yeah.
But are they better than the Braves though? Because like the Braves, I'm going to say I don't think so. What do you think?
I think with Ronald Acuna back in their lineup, the Braves aren't losing the same.
I mean, love the Braves.
They won a World Series without Ronald Acuna in their lineup. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
The MVP candidate be free like their entire season until he got hurt. Like they won a World Series without him. The Braves are going to be unreal this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Matt Olson is probably as good as Freddie Freeman, if not better. And they've added him like to a lineup. He's finally going to get the spotlight on him. Like in Oakland, he was overshadowed by playing in Oakland. Like
he's younger than Freeman too.
Exactly. So I mean, I think they're not going to miss a step coming out of this.
Yeah, this is the one team that I think, and we've said this for a few years now. This is nothing new. They could beat the Dodgers. The Braves can beat the Dodgers. We saw it happen. They're the ones that could trump. They can trump the Dodgers. Is what I'm saying. But I like Olsen. Olsen, the deal. I think that deal makes sense if you're gonna let Freeman go. I think letting Freeman go doesn't make sense, but signing Olsen to replace him does. I think Albie Swanson is as good as it gets up the middle.
Yeah.
Austin Riley, Jasper, is a beast.
He's a beast. Yeah, and he's gotten his strikeouts down, which is the big thing for him. So I think it's as long as he can stay making contact, he's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. And Acuna is spoiler. Acuna you will hear about later on, but Acuna I think is one of the best players in the sport.
And he's hungry.
Hungry.
You don't want to run into a player who's hungry, and Acuna is as hungry as they come. He knows he missed out on winning a World Series last year. He's mad. He knows he missed out on being the face of the team that won the World Series, and he wants that badly.
Mm-hmm. And Duvall will be back with the postseason hero Eddie Rosario. So, and then of course, pitching I think is really potent with Fried, Morton, Anderson, Inoa. I hope Mike Soroka comes back. Hopefully he comes back, but the bullpen is disgusting too. Look at the Will Smith, Kenley Jansen, Tyler Matzek, who's a beast, AJ Minter. I mean, that's a pretty Luke
Tyler
Jackson.
Matzek, former Rocky.
God, what a beat! He transformed himself last postseason. He did not look anything like his days in Denver.
Like he was out of base. He was like our prospect in 2013. Then he was out of baseball for 2 years, and he just comes back. He's a monster. What's going on?
He was like an EMT at some point, and then like a few years later, he found himself getting arrested at the World Series parade. Did you see that video? Oh God! Imagine how does that even happen? Like, I mean, one of the security guard, like, how are you not paying attention? You're watching a guy get down from the bus. You see him walking, and you still think he's a stranger. Come on, do better.
All right, let's break down the.
Yeah, let's go to the American League West. Let's talk about the A's. I mean, I guess if you're going to tear it down, this is the way to do it. Just trade everybody. But the problem is, this is what they do all the time, and it shouldn't be like that.
This is the cycle of
cycle.
I mean, it happens every, I want to say 3 years, where they have a team, they break it down entirely, trade for a bunch of young prospects. Those young prospects develop. They find their window of competition is sooner than one's expected. Those young prospects become superstars. They trade them all, burn it all down, restart. It's just a constant cycle. So we're in the rebuild phase now, and I have no doubt in my mind that this next year is either going to be an Oakland surprise year where they have a bunch of young talent and they become really good, or they're just going to suck. And I'm leaning towards they're just going to suck right now.
Yeah, every time we say the A's are just going to suck, they end up winning 90 games. So this is the only prediction. This is the only last place prediction that I have no idea. Like the other last place teams, Baltimore, Baltimore, the Nationals. I mean, the Pirates, Diamondbacks. Like those are all like valid. But like the A's,
Arizona.
God, I don't know, but I mean, they need to trade Mania and Montes first and foremost. Like that would complete it all. Just do that, finish the job.
Yeah, but, which I think the Phillies should probably move in on Montes. Someone's got to move in on Montes.
Or the Dodgers. That would be insane. Maybe they don't
Dodgers
have a
could be a good spot for it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, every few years, trade a third baseman in Toronto. That's how they do it. It's like deja vu.
Trade a third baseman to Toronto. You always got to give someone to a random NL team. Matt Olson was this year's sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Texas is weird because Texas spent like $500 million on players this offseason with Simeon and Corey Seager.
Just to probably win 80 games, yeah.
Their pitching is just not good enough for that. John Gray,
I know, right? Like
Martin Perez, Dane Dunning.
John Gray, okay, honestly, John Gray could turn into a Cy Young candidate outside of Colorado.
Yeah, he'd be a big part in that team, but he's not an ace.
Yeah. He could be an ace. He has the strikeout percentage for it. It's just a matter of him going to probably the second most prolific offensive ballpark in Major League Baseball. I don't get these pitchers, man.
Yeah. Love that decision for him. But I think like their position players, like outside of Seager and Simeon, there's just not enough there in the lineup that screams, great. Yeah. So I'm down on them. And that this is where it gets clumped up a little bit because I have the Angels finishing in third place. Because they still haven't addressed pitching. When are they going to learn?
I mean, I guess Noah Syndergaard could return to his ace form, and Shohei Ohtani could be good. And yeah, like who else is gonna? I don't get it, man. I mean, they have all this money to spend, and they just don't do it. Artie, you were talking about owners earlier who just pocket everything. Artie Moreno definitely pockets. Everything.
Yeah. How about them for the A's wouldn't trade to the Angels? I don't know, or would they? That would be a perfect acquisition. Getting Mania and Montes both in a trade. That would be excellent.
That'd be pretty good. But who do you think, like, who would they give up? Like, would the Angels really have assets like that?
I don't know. I think a lot of their prospects are big league ready. Like Brandon Marsh and who's the other outfielder? Adele.
Oh, Marsh was a dog last year. Yeah, what's his name?
Joe Adele.
Joe Adele, yeah.
So all those guys are big league ready, but I mean, this team's gonna hit. I mean, they're gonna hit. Jared Walsh is gonna mash. David Fletcher's gonna do his thing, what he does best. I don't like what they have up the middle in their infield. I think after losing Angelton Simmons, you don't really have anybody yet. I mean, they could have been in play for one of the big shortstops, I think. Rendon maybe a bounce back. Upton, Trout. I mean,
Rendon has to bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
Or else, like, what'd you spend all that money on,
Yeah, no, for sure. But pitching is not there. Don't know what to say. Ohtani,
yeah,
I missed him.
You kind of forgot the face of baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Angels are going to do. They could be a second place team. They could be a surprise team. I don't know.
I'm hot on the Mariners, though.
I'm hot on the Mariners, too. I don't like that I'm hot on the Mariners, but I know it's time to actually give them their flowers. They have put together one hell of a baseball team.
And I think they put I don't know if it's the finishing touches, but the way they added Jesse Winker, like it was nothing. Like Jesse Winker is a good player. Might be their best offensive player right now. And nobody even blinked. Like nobody even saw it.
Let's shoot for the stars.
Yeah, Kelnick, if he takes the next big step, he's going to be a monster. Kyle Lewis, I think, needs to be healthy. Haniger's still there. He survived everything.
Julio Rodriguez will be in the big league.
Stud. And their pitching is sneaky. Robbie Ray, Marco Gonzalez, Chris Flexen had a nice breakout year. I think one more arm would work for them.
Was Gilbert part of the package for Jesse Winker?
Was he there?
I know they lost Justin Dunn, but they had to trade Justin Dunn. It was time.
Yeah, Gilbert's been there for a while, so he was not in the Winker deal. But they're good, but I don't see them taking on the Astros. I still think the Astros are the number one team, but I do have one criticism for the Astros. Why didn't you, I guess, sign Trevor Story? What are you waiting for? Or Correa. Correa did not get the deal I think they thought he would get. So, why didn't you bring any of those guys back?
That was an insane move on their part. I mean, I guess with the emergence of Kyle Tucker, they kind of felt like we have a bat we can go to now in the middle of the order, or in the early part. But
we're gonna eventually pay him.
I mean, think about it. They also have to pay Jordan Alvarez. We can't forget about that. Kyle Tucker leading off, Altuve second, Jordan Alvarez, Bregman,
Gurriel.
At that point, I just don't know Gurriel, but Gurriel's 40. Get in there. He's old.
Oh, they need a shortstop. They need a shortstop. They have nobody there right now that is, I'm looking at the depth chart right now. Jeremy Pena right now is projected to be the everyday shortstop.
The other problem is they can't. I mean, maybe who knows? Jeremy Pena is a pretty good young prospect, so they could be using him as a trial run this year. But if you think about it, even the shortstops who are transition guys are gone. You can't pick up Jose Iglesias, you can't pick up Andrelton Simmons. You kind of have to make a move at this point if you want to really bring in a good shortstop.
They should have traded for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. That would have been a nice fit. And then he got bounced around.
Two big contact guys up the middle for him. That would have been awesome.
You know who I can't wait to watch? Justin Verlander.
Yeah. Dude, I never thought I'd hear myself say that again, but especially on the Astros. But yeah, I'm excited to see Justin Verlander get back on the mound, see what he still has in the tank.
Yeah, I like watching old veteran pitchers that are kind of nearing 40 that have that have had iconic careers. I like watching those kinds of pitchers pitch.
Kershaw, Scherzer, Bumgarner,
yeah. You
gotta love it.
Gotta love it. I think the Astros still the top dog in the American League.
What about their is their rotation good enough though?
That's also a question. I don't think it's. I think it's got names but I think it's got quantity, but who knows if it has quality.
I think who's their number one, Verlander
or Valdez or Garcia, Luis Garcia, Framio Valdez.
I could see it. No, I don't know. I think the AL West is more open than we think. We just can't see it yet.
I think so too. I think that's a good way to put it. And then, of course, in the Central, this is also a division where I don't know what the last place team is going to be because these are all very average to okay teams. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, that's always been the NL Central though. I mean, besides the White Sox, who are just a behemoth of a baseball club. I don't know who they're going to lose to this year. I mean, you got the Twins, who just randomly signed Carlos Correa after selling off a bunch of stuff in the season prior. I mean, granted, they did get all the Yankees guys, so Gio Urshela, Gary Sanchez, but I don't know what the Twins' game plan is here. And then Kansas City's gonna be fun because Bobby Witt's finally gonna hit the show, and that's gonna be awesome. We got the Zach Greinke reunion, which is gonna make for some watchable baseball.
Greinke's another one like Verlander.
Yeah, exactly. The Guardians, they have no plan of attack. It's just going to be – they're just going to be clock watching until the trade deadline comes. They can move Shane Bieber. I mean, it's pretty straightforward division. It's just going to be the White Sox run away with it. I mean, what can you not say about this team? Their lineup's ridiculous. Tim Anderson's in his prime. Luis Robert is scratching the surface. Eloy Jimenez came back last year after injury and just put on one of the most prolific performances of the bat I think we've seen in a while. Yohan Moncada and their rotation is just ridiculous. They lose Rondon, and they still are one of the best rotations in Major League Baseball. And I'm not even going to get into their bullpen because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, Dylan Cease, breakout star for the White Sox, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the White Sox are definitely the top-notch team. The Tigers, I think, are closer than the rest of the teams.
Tigers are my favorite team in baseball to watch right now. They make no sense to me, but they have so many little pieces that are starting to come together. And you're starting to see like the birth of that big three in the rotation. Manning, I think Riley Green's going to be in the majors this year. Like, this team is moving in the exact direction it is intending to.
And I like when teams that have been losing go out and sign a big bopper, like Javier Baez. Like, that's good for the Tigers for going out and doing that. Like, that's the type of deal that I want to see more teams make. Why don't the Orioles go out there and sign? I mean, obviously the pitch would be different, but good for them locking up Javier Baez. I want to see what Miguel Cabrera has left in the tank. I hope, you hate to see guys with those careers and, that kind of player profile fall off. So I want to see him. But yeah, no, the pitching, they signed Eduardo Perez. Pitching's good. I mean, the pitching, they have young arms up the behind. Tigers, I think they're closer than we think. This might even be the year where they break out. So
they'll be second place, I think.
Yeah.
So their name will be in the discussion for that last wild card spot come August.
Yeah, and then of course the AL East, we know the Orioles are in last, but I don't know where to put these next four teams. I mean, who do you want to start with?
I think we put the Blue Jays at the top. They have the best infield in baseball.
Oh, such a good team.
It's incredible. Like Matt Chapman, Vladdy, Bichette, Biggio. Like, oh my God, this team is ridiculous. Losing Robbie Ray hurt, but I think the addition of Barrios and locking him up long term is huge for them.
And Gausman too.
Oh, and Kevin Gausman. That's who they signed. I was blanking for a second, but yeah. I think the Blue Jays, they're the favorite to win this division right now. Who do you have after them?
One more point on the rotation, because oh God, that was like a mix of a burp and a so around this time last year, they didn't have any rotation. It was like, oh, Nate Pearson's going to be like their 2, but now they're at the point where they could kind of ease Nate Pearson in more. So they have Barrios, Gausman, Ryu, Mccutchen, Alek Manoah as a 5 is pretty damn good. And then you have flexibility with Pearson. So I like that. But after the Blue Jays, I have the Rays. A little bit interesting, but I like their core position players. I love Brandon Lau up the middle with Wander Franco. I think they have a few holes in their infield. I'm not sold on G-Man Choi. I'm not sold at whoever they have playing third base, but their pitching is what separates them. Shane McClanahan's nasty. Ryan Yarbrough, we know what those guys do. Corey Kluber's an interesting addition. Their bullpen's disgusting and versatile. Maybe one more arm and one more bat, but I like what the Rays can do. And once we get to the Yankees, I'll tell you why I have the Yankees third, but Rays second for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going the same. I'm just waiting to see Brandon McKay get his shot at the big leagues again. That guy can pitch and hit, so I was hoping he'd be the next two-way guy to get it going in the MLB. But yeah, I mean, what can you say about the Rays other than they're just consistently good? They're the A's if the A's never trade away all their stars and they just kept getting
exactly.
Yeah, the Rays are going to be a fun team to watch. Randy Arozarena coming back, obviously going to be fun. It's gonna be weird to see this team without Joey Wendell and oh my God, what's his name? I'm blanking on their ex center fielder's name.
Well,
Kevin Kiermaier.
He's still there.
He's still there? I thought they got rid of him.
He's still there.
Oh, man, look at me being unprepared for today. But yeah, no, I mean, never mind. Then I love seeing Kevin Kiermaier there. I totally thought he was traded. Yeah, I mean, look at the Rays. They're just the Rays, man. They're always going to be there. But
I have the Yankees 3.
Yeah, I want to hear this. I think this is going to be good.
I have the Yankees 3 because I think that they still have some question marks with their infield. As much as they bolstered it with Rizzo, Glaber, I assume is going to move to second with Kiner Falefa at short. Donaldson's, I like that addition with Donaldson. I don't know what you do with DJ LeMahieu. I also have questions about defense. Judge is a great outfielder. Gallo's a great outfielder. But who is your center fielder? Aaron Hicks, are you set with DHing Giancarlo Stanton? Is he going to get? I heard Aaron Boone say he's going to play a good amount of outfield. Really,
Who would you move to center then?
Judge, maybe? I don't know. Gallo. I mean, both guys could probably do it.
Yeah,
but
it'll be interesting what happens there. That's where having Brett Gardner for so long really helped them, is they could kind of dodge that and like play Brett Gardner out there, especially once he started hitting again. They could play. I mean, he played really serviceable center field. I mean, he was always fast. Once he started hitting, that really was a game changer for him.
Yeah, no, it was completely. And I think that they're gonna use that DH spot very flexibly. That's not a word, but I just made it up.
Yeah.
But again, they're a team with a lot of swing and miss, and they added a little less of that with Kiner Falefa at short. I still thought that they would completely be in on Correa. Like, that still shocks me. I thought that was a match made in heaven. And then pitching, Garrett Cole, best pitcher in the sport. Montgomery's pretty good. Severino and Tyone, there's some question marks there. Maybe you want to add
last year.
Yeah, maybe you want to add one more arm there. Maybe it's one of the A's guys. I
wouldn't be surprised. The Yankees, they're due for their yearly late move.
Mm-hmm. Always right before opening day, they make a move. And then Boston is interesting too. Because they've made newly acquired Trevor Story. Yeah, Bogart. So Story's going to be playing second. Bogarts is going to be at short. I think it should be switched. I think Story's a much better defensive shortstop than Bogarts is. Bobby Dahlback, look for him to break out. That's a baseball name, Jasper. Bobby Dahlback.
Bobby Dahlback.
Devers is a dark horse for MVP.
Who is?
Rafael Devers.
Oh, yeah, Rafi. Yeah.
But they're missing an outfielder. That's my only question.
Yeah. I think Boston will be fine. Chris Sale obviously getting hurt again. Like, jeez, can this guy stay on the field? But, yeah, I think Boston fourth is a good pick. Obviously, I think the Rays, Boston, and New York are all interchangeable at this point. That division's anyone's game except for, obviously, Baltimore. But plus side, if Baltimore's bad enough, we get to see Adley Rutschman this year.
Yeah. And I guess now if you were to pick two wildcard teams, I forgot about the wildcard scenario. If you were to pick two in the National League, I'll tell you mine first. I think I would go with someone from the NL West, maybe two. Actually, I'll go with the Mets and I'll go with the Giants. See a rematch of that wild. And then for the American League, I'll go with the Rays and I want to say playoff appearance in Seattle. Seattle and the Rays for the wild card.
I like it. I'm gonna say the wild card's gonna be. I think we're going Phillies, Padres.
That would be a nice one.
Phillies, Padres, or Padres, Giants. I think that could be a big scenario too. And then the AL. I have Seattle finally breaking through. They're always like the past 3 years. It seems like Seattle, like 2 weeks left of the season, always like 1 game, 2 games out of the wild card, and they just lose. They're not doing that this year. They're in. And then I'm going the New York Yankees. I think a Yankees-Seattle, a classic AL West, AL East matchup in the wild card game would be awesome.
And we've seen them in the playoffs before. Like 20 years ago, 30 years,
Right?
25 years ago. So, all right, let's get into the good stuff here. Let's do some award stuff real quick. Let's start with the Rookie of the Years. Let's start in the NL. I couldn't find a lot of good ones in the NL, but I'll give you. Actually, I'll let you go first. Who is your NL Rookie of the Year?
NL Rookie of the Year. I want to say. I can give you my AL one, but my NL one is it's so hard to pick the NL.
Yeah, go with
AL,
AL.
I'm locked in between Riley Green or Bobby Witt Jr. I think it's going to be a big AL Central Rookie of the Year showcase this year. But then for the NL, man, let's just go Mackenzie Gore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really just don't know who the NL rookies are this year that could pop. Or actually, no. I'll go Kieboom.
Oh, Kieboom. There you go. Kieboom.
Yeah.
Kieboom. So my NL Rookie of the Year, I was thinking about Joey Bart, but I didn't want to be like a homer. I didn't want to sound like a homer.
I can see Joey Bart. It just needs to get his contact going.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with also a Giant, Camilo Doval. Will be
That's
still
the one I was thinking.
Still rookie eligible. Camilo Doval is gonna get some. Especially if he closes, because he's going to be in a more high profile role, so that will give him some uppity on that scale. And then
I feel like every other year we get a rookie reliever Rookie of the Year. So
yeah, every few years it's fun. Craig Kimbrell,
Williams, I think, was the last one for the Brewers.
Yeah, Devin Williams. Yeah, it happens every now and then.
Phillies back in 2010.
Oh, there you go. Yes, same year that Posey. I remember that was a big story. Those two rookies in the World Series. For the American League, you mentioned Riley Green. I have his teammate Spencer Torkelson.
Oh, that's another good one.
I think he's ready. He's ready to go. He's ready to tear it up. And honestly, I see him getting rep. I see him cracking the opening day roster for sure at first base. The ASU kid. So Spencer Torkelson. I mean, there's a few other guys. Bobby Witt, I think, is the favorite, but I would definitely pick Torkelson. And then for Cy Young, let's talk Cy Young here. Who do you got for the AL?
I think I'm stealing your thunder here, but I got Dylan Cease.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, no, he's going to break out. I just played it safe. I went Garrett Cole. There's a big drop off in pitching. Like, I was looking at some of the best pitchers in the AL and some of the odds, and it had Cole, and then the next one was Shane Bieber, but Bieber's been hurt, so that didn't make much sense.
Also, he's not going to win many. I mean, granted, wins aren't really calculated into it anymore, but he's not going to win many games in general.
Yeah, that's way too much to be saying that he's a Cy Young candidate. Coming back from an injury. For the NL, I think Walker Buehler gets his first one. I said that last year. I'm sticking with it. Buehler gets his first one.
Yeah, I think it's Buehler's time too, but I'm gonna play the hits and go Jacob deGrom.
There we go.
I think Jacob deGrom on a playoff contending team is a Cy Young winner every single time.
So we evened it out. So I picked Cole, you picked deGrom. So we're not completely wusses in that regard. Exactly. We evened it out. And then for the MVP, AL MVP, he came close. He's going to win it. Vlad Jr. He's my MVP for the American League. And I think Ohtani's going to keep winning as long as he keeps doing both at a high level. But Vlad, the way he hit last year, he's got protection now. He's going to drive in a ton of runs. He's my guy for AL MVP.
All right, so I got a dark horse and I got an AL MVP for you. And my AL MVP is going to be Mike Trout, coming back angry, ready to actually win some games. And
don't move me off center field.
Yeah, exactly. And then my dark horse is Matt Chapman.
Oh,
change of scenery is going to do him very well. I could see him returning to the 40. I could see him becoming the Nolan Arenado of the American League this season.
That's a good dark horse. And if I had a dark horse in the American League, I was thinking about this, and I was like, God, who would I pick if I had a dark horse? And I think honestly, I'd pick Jose Ramirez. I don't think he'll get the. I think he's so overlooked. But I don't think he'll get the. Because a lot of voters go, well, was he a playoff team? Which there should be different awards, best player and MVP.
Well, I mean, Bryce Harper didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be my argument for him. And then NL MVP, I kind of teased it earlier, but he's coming back. You mentioned hungry, and that's the best way to describe him. Ronald Acuna is back. This should be a much bigger deal than it's being portrayed. He's back. He's a monster. He's going to be MVP. 40-40 guy, perennial, the whole 9 yards. So Acuna.
So my MVP for the NL is Chris Bryant. No, I'm kidding. I also have Acuna. I mean, as I said, he's hungry. He's coming back strong. And then there's nothing else I can really say about the guy. The Braves won a World Series without him, and like that's still insane to me. It's just crazy. And then my dark horse. I feel like we so often forget that Mookie Betts is the great player he is just because he plays with the Dodgers. I think it's going to be I think an MVP finds its way to the Dodgers at some point. I don't know who it is, but I think this team is too talented. No one's actually going to take away from each other. Mm-hmm. So I think we're just going to see a slugfest in LA.
Yeah, it's weird because like as good as they've been, and like Betts does have an MVP in the American League, as good as they've been, the Dodgers have been, it always seems like they don't have one guy that stands out in that lineup that's putting up the big year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. I mean, Bellinger didn't. That's why he won the MVP. So if one guy puts up the big year, I think they win it easily.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. And I think my dark horse, we mentioned him earlier, and I think you mentioned comeback with Trout. We mentioned Yelich earlier. He's a dark horse if he's on.
He is another dark horse. I mean, then you could even throw Cody Bellinger into that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, people forget how good Yelich. It's been a while. It's been a few years since he's been great. So
I mean, he's been hurt though. The back, the hip. I mean, if he never broke his kneecap, I think Yelich is having an entirely different career. That was such a freak injury. Yeah. He was playing so well at that point too, and the Brewers were about to make a deep playoff run. Oh, it was so brutal.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we nailed those picks. We're gonna rewind and we're gonna look silly very soon at the end of the season, maybe. But I think the divisions. What?
We should pick if we really want to look silly, we should pick every Silver Slugger.
Oh gosh, that'd probably be a different episode.
Oh my God, getting to the pitchers would be brutal.
Oh, too soon.
Oh wait, no, but they don't give an award for Silver Slugger to pitchers anymore.
I thought you knew that when you said it. Oh, too soon. Rest in peace, the pitcher hitting. Logan Webb, final home run from a pitcher who is not pinch hitting. So congratulations to Logan. But we're still going to see, like Bumgarner's still going to pinch hit though. We're going to see those guys still.
You think?
Yeah, there's going to be a point where like extra innings goes on for a little bit and, one guy is going to come off the bench. But in terms of like regular pitcher hitting, Logan Webb was the last one.
All right, so here. One question before we go. Do you think we're ever going to see a pitcher hit a home run again?
Yes. And his name's Shohei Ohtani. No, I want to take the easy way out there. I think that, for the reason I mentioned, I think that like eventually, honestly, I think like a pitcher that is not a two-way player, yes. Because I think that the possibilities in baseball are endless for it not to happen. That's my point. So
that's fair enough.
Someone's going to come off the bench, like, Liam Hendricks is going to come off the bench and just swat a homer somewhere and run around the bases cussing. That's going to be great. So, anyways, Jasper, appreciate you coming on. 100th episode. We got it done.
Oh, yeah. It was a good one, too. We got a lot of talking points in, a lot of great storylines for the MLB season.
Went over most teams. Shaded the Orioles. Love that. But that was perfect. But yeah, more RizzoCast stuff coming up. Enjoy the 2022 baseball season, Jasper. This will not be the last time that you come on. Yes. Absolutely. And go ahead, subscribe to RizzoCast, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and see you next time.